Typically, engineers want to get bugs out of their creations. Not so for the UK engineering firm Rolls-Royce, however. It's looking for a way to get bugs into the aircraft engines that it builds. These bugs aren't software glitches or even actual insects. They're tiny robots modeled after the cockroach. Recently, Rolls-Royce shared the latest developments in its research into cockroach-like robots at the Farnborough International Air Show. Rolls-Royce believes these tiny insect-inspired robots will save engineers time by serving as their eyes and hands within the tight confines of airplane engines. According to a report by The Next Web, the company plans to mount a camera on each bot to allow engineers to see what's going on inside an engine without having to take it apart. Rolls-Royce thinks it could even train its cockroach-like robots to complete repairs. They could go off scuttling around, reaching all different parts of the combustion chamber. If done conventionally, it would take about 5 hours. With these little robots, though, who knows, it could take 5 minutes if programmed correctly. Rolls-Royce has already created prototypes of the little bot with the help of robotics experts from Harvard University and University of Nottingham. But they are still too large for the company's intended use. The goal is to scale the roach-like robots down to a size about a ½ inch tall and weigh just a few ounces, which a Rolls-Royce representative said should be possible within the next couple of years. You know, I've always said that I would be a vegetarian if meat wasn't so good. That's why I got excited when the Dutch stem cell researcher Mark Post unveiled the first lab-grown burger way back in 2013. It was handmade fiber by fiber from cow cells in petri dishes. He announced that the single serving cost would be more than $300,000. But the research was promising enough that Post launched a startup called Moza Meat to pursue making cultured meat at scale. Now the company says that its first products will be on the market by 2021, fueled by a Series A funding round of $8.8 million. The company knew very early on that if they would scale up production, that the costs would come down to about $10 for a hamburger patty. The lower cost is dependent on using a massive 25,000-liter bioreactor where livestock or poultry cells will be fed nutrients and oxygen and will then grow into tissue that can be made into burgers or even a piece of chicken. The company hasn't yet scaled up to the new bioreactor, but now has the technology to do it. That's the biggest advance that will get the meat to $10. Since Post made the first prototype of a burger, the product has changed slightly. The company now uses cultured fat tissue along with muscle tissue to make the meat juicier and tastier. The first samples also didn't have much myoglobin, a protein that gives meat its red color and some of its taste and nutrition, which the new production process has also improved on. The company still plans to make a few other incremental improvements. When it comes to market in 2021, though, the company plans to sell its products in restaurants and specialty stores, both because production levels will be initially too small to supply large supermarket chains and because it will sell at a premium cost compared to regular burgers. But it expects the cost to continue to fall. Cultured meat, also called clean meat, could theoretically be cheaper than meats from feedlots within a handful of years. The new investment round was co-led by M Ventures, the corporate venture arm of Merrick, and Bell Food Group, the largest meat producer in Switzerland. Bell joins a list of several companies in the meat industry to pour money into meat alternatives. In this week's gaming news, Clang Games, a Berlin-based game developer studio, has raised $8.95 million in funding to support Seed. It's an artificial intelligence-driven, massively multiplayer space colonization online simulation. It's a mouthful. The online game will use Improbable Spatial OS platform, which provides the infrastructure that allows small development teams to create massive simulations. Now, to date, the company has raised $13.95 million. Seed is a continuous, persistent simulation where players are supposed to colonize an alien planet through collaboration, conflict, and player-to-player interaction. Using unique gameplay based on managing multiple characters in real time, characters live on after the player has logged off, allowing the world of Seed to be a living, breathing entity. The founders previously worked on EVE Online and Dust 514. By building on the cloud-based spatial OS, developers can use standard tools and game engines to design, build, and manage games that go beyond the limits of a single server architecture. It allows for a swarm of hundreds of game engines running in the cloud to cooperate together to simulate a world much larger, richer, and with more players than any single engine or server could. You have to check it out for yourself one day when it gets released to the world. What an awesome concept. AKK Technologies' Link and Fly aircraft design could soon let planes drop off its passengers at local stations. The concept envisions a modular aircraft that relies on a passenger pod and detachable wings to speed up the boarding process and makes it easier than ever to get to and from the airport. The idea is that you can head to your local train station to board a train-like tube, which takes you straight to the airport. The pod then moves on to the runway where a cockpit and wings are attached to the passenger train before taking off. Upon landing, the train fuselage detaches from the wings and rolls out of the airport to local train stations to drop you off at convenient locations. The aircraft concept is an ambitious project, as it would require the entire industry of air travel to change in order to accommodate the transportation of an aircraft from a local train station. However, according to an interview with Bloomberg, CEO of AKA Technologies Maurice Ritchie has had a chance to pitch the flying train concept to Boeing, the world's largest aerospace company. The company's 3D mock-up video should help in gathering interest from other potential customers as well. Ritchie told Bloomberg planes need to become more efficient, less polluting, and less noisy. Our role is to point our customers to technologies of the future. The Link and Fly aircraft comprises of 162-seat planes with an option for cargo delivery as well. Engines are mounted on a large delta-shaped wing with a span of about 49 meters. The craft is envisioned with a range of 1,300 miles, a cruise speed of Mach 0.78, and a maximum cruise altitude of around 39,000 feet.